I'd like to talk about Dr. Phil. He was just on The View, and he made some pretty solid points. I'll see if I can dig that stuff up here.
You ever seen the video of what is it? Bum fights. The guy who did bum fights. You remember? Bum fights?
Yeah, I saw that.
You seen that video? Where
But
he goes
he's a prick.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
It's just a funny
prick.
video.
Like, to say that Dr. Phil doesn't actually try and help people is stupid. Like, Dr. Phil's a therapist. It's like he knows what he's talking about, and he is definitely an advocate for conservative ideology, and he is far closer to the middle than he is to the left,
enough,
and he has been making the rounds, making a lot of points. He's got a new network that is coming out that he is heading up, which I'd be very curious to look into and see what kind of content he's going to be producing. Apparently, he went down to the border as well, and this is sort of the part of the video that I really wanted to take a look at, because obviously what's going on down there is crazy.
Work starts. You're hosting the primetime show called Dr. Phil Primetime, and for an upcoming episode, my understanding is that you went to the southern border. Now, you're saying that you're going to give people facts. What did you take away from that experience, and what kind of reporting are you going to be bringing back from that experience?
I'll tell you a fact I took away. I talked to the head of all the border guards down there, the head of the union. I asked him straight up, kids are coming over the border with numbers written on them, phone numbers and addresses. Do we check those out? He said, well, we call them. Is it possible that we're sending them into...
And if anybody's wondering why I keep pausing, it's because I have to avoid copyright. But yeah, I'll just quickly say that it's obviously child sex trafficking. It's obvious. And he knows it. They don't want to believe it, but let's keep going.
Known prostitution rings or sweatshops. He said, it's not possible, it is absolute. We are using American tax dollars to ship children into known prostitution
All
and
children or
sweatshops.
some children?
Well, who knows?
Okay.
We don't know. I said, are you...
So what kind of checking do they do? So
They
'cause you
call
say-
the number
Uh-huh,
and say, do you know about this child? They say yes.
See, the best and fastest way into women's hearts, talk about children being trafficked over the border, and maybe you can soften them up.
Will you receive them when they come? Yes. I said, is it possible that that's a prostitution ring? He said, we know enough to know that in a number of cases, it has turned out to be absolute sex ring. It has turned out to be an absolute sweatshop. I said, how is this possible?
Well, what do they do?
And he said,
then?
it is happening.
What do they do then if they know that that's happening? Where is the U.S. Attorney's Office? Where is the...
Here's the
good
thing.
question,
You
isn't
have
it?
to re-ask that
Oh,
question
here we
when
go.
come back.
We got-
Sonny, you were about
We got Oprah, or not Oprah. We got Whoopi. Got Whoopi.
to ask.
Yeah, and I don't mean to derail us, but you mentioned that there are children crossing the border with numbers and names. Many of them those names belong to their family members, but you're saying, and that's true, but some of them are sex trafficked, some of them are sweatshop trafficked. Why do you think the federal government is not involved? Why isn't the U.S. Attorney's Office involved? Is it a resource issue?
It's a resource issue.
And have they reached out to the Biden administration about that?
Yeah, it's a resource issue. Of course it's a resource issue. They don't want to issue the resources, because if they issue the resources, then they stop making their billions of dollars with the Russian mob, the cartel, all these people that are obviously trafficking human beings over the borders. Like, it's to think that wouldn't be something that was occurring, not to mention the fact that how many people go missing in our countries every day, every year. Maybe they're being trafficked out through the other direction. We have no idea. According to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Database, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, more than 600,000 people go missing annually. Approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered each year. So 600,000 people are missing every year from the United States. And I mean, obviously a lot of people will debate and say, oh, well, a lot of people run away and don't contact their families. Come on. That many people? That many people? So let's keep listening to what Dr. Phil has to say here.
Well, it's hard to know. They say that they're so overwhelmed with processing that that's all they can do. They've become social workers and processors and not investigators and border guards, because they're just processing.
Got it.
Well, Dr. Phil, I want to make sure we get to your new book, which
Yes.
is we've got
I'm very excited to see what the future brings for Dr. Phil. I mean, he's getting older, so it's important that he starts doing these things before he gets too old. A lot of my friends have been messaging me and sending me stuff about what Dr. Phil's been saying lately. I think he was on Rogan. He did Rogan recently. Apparently that was really good. A lot of people heard that. And you know, Rogan, I mean, geez, we'll get into that in a little bit. But Rogan has just been on fire with his conspiracy awareness.